foul mouth, but because of his disfigurement, everyone's just afraid of him, right? So he's developed this, like, you know, this persona, but inside he's just, you know, he's just a normal dude who hates his brother, but everything else is like, you know, whatever. So I just wish that at some point, so like Sansa says, you know, I wish I listened to you, or anyone else, you know, sees him for more than he is, you know? I wish for him to have a happy ending. But Sansa and Jon have again their little meeting, and again, I feel like if at any point the Starks have a family meeting where they air things out,
they can get everything figured out.
And like Bran has his, you know, this is what I've seen in my visions.
Yeah, like Jon doesn't know
and he can back up every story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I've seen Jon like up in the north, and he was fighting dragons. You know.
So, okay, next one you got, by the way, Sam came to Winterfell. So you got Sam in the Winterfell library, just looking over some stuff. And you have Jorah and Dany. And Jorah, of course.
Starts off nice, you know.
Yeah, Jorah brought Dany over to, you know, say thank you to Sam, and Dany's, you know.
And then he realizes, or they both realize that, oh, you know, I killed your dad and your brother. Right. And Sam loses it. Right. And it's at that time, you know, right after that scene, that Bran picks the time to say, okay, now it's time for you to go tell Jon, you know, who he is. And, you know, I think at some point it's one of those things like maybe they said it too early or whatever, or why do you pick that part, you know, when Sam's pissed at Dany anyway? I think that's the reason, because then he can try and get through to Jon without playing the other side of, you know, oh, Jon, your feelings. No, he's looking at it as like, look, you have, you know, when people didn't want to bend the knee to you, what did you do? You spared them. Right. You know,
different
you
approach.
You have shown this like love for people. And so is Dany in other ways, right?
But not until you get to know her. That's the whole thing, is like, Dany's a stranger to all of these Westerosis.
Well, and Dany is also like, I'm her queen. I'm this, I'm that. Right. Where Jon is like, even when he was king of the North, he was like, look, I want the wildlings here. I want, you know, this and that. He was never, oh, I need the power.
Right. He doesn't want the title. That's the whole thing. You know what I mean? Dany's there for the title. And the problem is, it's like Dany's done her conquering in Essos. And that's where she's earned the respect and love of every, you know, most of the slaves. And, of course, the masters hate her. But that's where she did her dirty work. So when she comes to Westeros, she's got this arrogance about her that obviously people don't like, you know. And there's been a lot of bad mouthing about her, so when she acts that way, it's all coming to fruition, right? And people see her as they've been painting her as, you know, a foreign queen conquering Westeros, who, you know, expects everyone to bend the knee to her. You know what I mean?
And so we'll see how Jon reacts to this news of like who he really is, right? And I think coming up in the next episode, I think we'll really get an in-depth feel of like how.
Yeah, what he thinks about it. Now, this is the whole thing for me is, you know, people have talked about, it's like,
man, she's king,
and she said it,
and she don't give a damn. So yeah,
but it's so funny because it's like, what do you expect people to be like? Hey, this is Rhaegar's son, let's go. Yeah, no. It doesn't matter. Dany's got the biggest armies. She's got the dragons.
It's one
even
of those
though
things,
Jon just rode one, it doesn't really matter because, you know, they like their mom.
I think it's going to help that Jon knows so he can talk to Dany about it. Right. I think that's where it's going to help. I don't think it, like you said, I don't think anybody in the Seven Kingdoms is going to care one way or the other.
Well, and see, this is where I think it's a big miss, because when they had him ride the dragon, that should have been a confirmation of his Targaryenism, rather than
he tells Dany, like, this is what I was
and people
just
are like, I don't believe it, and then he's like, I'm going to ride a dragon. Yeah. And then it's like, boom, drop mic out. Yeah. You know, instead, you have him ride the dragon because mom tells you to. Right. Weak. You know, that's I feel that's the biggest miss. Yeah. Like, it should have been confirmation of his bloodline at that point, because, you know, Bran sees everything, but people probably just think he's crazy. And Sam read something, but whatever.
Right.
You know, it's all hearsay. But when you ride that dragon, you're like, hey, no one except for Targaryens rides a dragon. I wonder.
Right.
So,
all right, man. The last thing that happened in the episode, we get the Tormund coming back, which was awesome. I love seeing that dude.
That's right. So you got Tormund and Beric. They're coming down from Eastwatch. Remember, they were there when the wall came down, and they're coming through a Last Hearth. It ends up being right, and then when they're over there,
Ed comes out
of nowhere. They're like, ah!
So the rest of Castle Black is there as well, and they're looking for any survivors, and they go into, you know, the
great room
or whatever, and they see Lord
Umber
like up on the wall and
pinned to the wall with those legs around him.
That one will give you nightmares if you need it, you know.
Yep.
And so they set him on fire or whatever, and he's screaming in pain as he's a White Walker now or whatever. And
so the army of the dead has marched past Last Hearth. They're behind it. So what do they propose?
So they have horses from Castle Black, and so they're going to double up and ride past them. Hopefully to the side. They're going to ride past the dead army and get to Winterfell hours before the attack.
Right.
And so that sets up next week.
Right.
All right, so if we set up next week, what do we think
Okay,
is going to
happen? The only thing that the last scene.
Oh, Jaime.
So you got this hooded horseman walking in.
That you could tell was Jaime.
Yeah. I'm like who hasn't been there?
Yeah,
Jaime.
Yeah.
So Jaime comes in and he's looking around. And, of course, before, Bran was just chilling in the yard. And Sam came up to him. He's like, you need to come with me to tell Jon about his parentage. He's like, I'm waiting for an old friend.
Yeah.
And then he comes in and you see Bran looking at Jaime. It's like, oh.
And I thought he was going to give him a little smirk, but he didn't, because Bran is crazy at this point. But
right.
I thought a little smirk would have been cool right then. But
yeah.
All right. So
set up for next week. Okay. Most of next week is going to be Jaime's trial. First they imprison him, then they're going to give him a trial. And I was going to say, because Bronn's been bribed to kill Tyrion and Jaime. So he's going north. Mm-hmm. I think Bronn is going to come as a witness to Jaime.
So I think
saying that this is, first of all, turning Jaime against Cersei because he's the one who's going to kill her. But saying that, see, he's doing the right thing like you guys promised, and he's here to do the right thing, so, give him another chance. Now, here's the other thing for Jaime. He's in the north, or they're in the north, right? I mean, Jon and Daenerys know what's up, right? They would probably be welcoming of Jaime.
Right.
Tyrion, of course, right? But Sansa would not.
No.
All of the north would not. And, of course, killing Bran. Or trying to kill Bran. That's his biggest.
Like he's got a big mountain to climb, right?
Right.
But the other thing is Brienne. We didn't see her in this episode. We are going to see her in the next episode.
Did we not see her in the March?
I didn't see her. But
if she did,
she's going to show up. Mm-hmm. She's going to show up, and she is the other person that can talk to Jaime's, change of heart.
Right.
And explain in detail of, this is why he killed your father, Danny.
This is, saving King's Landing.
It wasn't a matter of just being a kingslayer.
Right.
Like, he didn't do it because he wanted the throne or anything else. Yeah. He did it because your father was going to set, waste to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, he had wildfire ready to go.
Right. Yep. So that's going to happen. At the very end, you have Tormund coming in and warning him. And I feel like the battle's
probably the last 20 minutes you'll have Tormund come in, and then the setup. The battle's not going to start.
I feel like there's going to be a pre-battle, going on.
I don't think so. I think the last scene is what we saw in the trailer, where you have the legs of the dead horse in Winterfell in the distance. Like, that is the last scene, and that sets up episode 3. And episode 3 is complete and utter destruction. The whole episode.
I think episode 3 is going to be the battle.
Will be like the wall.
Yeah.
The wall episode.
Yeah, for sure.
The whole episode being the battle.
Anything else you see
Anybody
happening?
Dying next week?
Okay, I'll tell you my prediction for death. Here's the other thing. What do you think is going to happen with Cersei? Is she using that Golden Company to try to attack these guys from behind? Or is she using him to conquer the bottom half of Westeros?
No, I think she's using them to to conquer whoever comes down.
She's just going to leave him to block?
I think so. I don't think she's going to march them up north. I think she's going to leave them be and then meet somewhere in the middle.
Now, what do you think is the deal with elephants? Because in the trailer, we
Didn't
saw
we
elephants.
see elephants?
We did.
So,
and here, they made a point of mentioning a couple of times how there were no elephants.
I think she's going to pay more money to get the elephants across, you know?
Oh, you think that's it?
No.
You don't think there's something shady going on?
I don't think so. But, I mean, it is Cersei, so who knows?
You know what's interesting, too? The name of the guy in charge of the Golden Company is Harry Strickland, which is like the same as the books, you know? And there's the young Griff and all that storyline that wasn't touched on at all.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if anything's going to happen out of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a twist coming in from the side with elephants or anything like that.
So who do you think dies?
Okay, my choice of death next episode.
Okay.
Beric Dondarrion. I think that there's going to be a situation where the Night's Watch, Tormund, Beric, these guys on the way down, they have to make a choice of who's going to be able to get through and who's not. Tormund obviously isn't, because you see Tormund reach the thing,
and you need that reunion with him and Jon.
Right. Well, you need a messenger, whether it's Tormund or Ed, and I think both of those guys are going to live.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially because you need the Night's Watch represented. You know what I mean? So I think Beric's going to light up his sword, be like the beacon for the dead, and then he's just going to go down swinging.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I didn't think anybody was going to die. No, next week. I don't think anybody dies next week. I think
that's wrong.
I think episode 3 is where we get people. Like episode 3 is going to be hard to watch.
The mountain's going to smash someone's head in just randomly.
Yeah, but nobody that of consequence is what I'm saying. Like, we might get a random, like Umber. Like, he's a random to me. Like, that dude only spoke like 3 times the whole series. Like, I don't care that
he was
dead.
Only introduced.
Yeah, I don't care he's dead. Like, whatever.
Yeah. You don't care about kids? Wow.
I don't, yeah.
Weird.
I know. All right, man. So that does it for episode 1, season 8, the last season of Game of Thrones. This has been the Kings of Westeros on Blackjack Movies. We're out.